So today, Sunday service will be a little bit special, or very special. We'll be having two testimonies by our wonderful youth. GPA just concluded like a few weeks ago, and they are back. So we'll be hearing testimonies from them. Yes. I personally did GPA as well for 3 years. And yes, GPA stands for Generation Peace Academy. And it's a leadership, a faith-based leadership training program. Yes. So, yes. And for me personally, when I did 3 years, it transformed my relationship with heavenly parents and true parents. So I'm not going to share any of my experiences because that's for our testimony givers. So I want you guys to all give your full attention to them. And I'm going to be first welcoming up Hayato Takahashi. He will be welcoming up the testimony givers. He's their friend and brother, so he could do a much better job inviting them up to the stage. So please help me welcome up Hayato.
Yeah, Masato. Oh, okay, there we go. That's also my brother. I just find it a little funny that he was introduced to introduce me, then I'm introducing these GPA kids. But anyway, my name's Hayato. I also did 3 years of GPA. Way back in the day now. My first year was 8 years ago. It's crazy how time flies. I still feel like I just got off. Yeah, it gets quicker. But anyway, Willis kind of did my job already. I was supposed to explain what GPA is. But it's okay. Lessons my burden. But GPA, essentially, it's a gap year program for our movement, our young adults in our movement, to really deepen our life of faith, mainly, but also developing character. And one side benefit, you may or may not find your future spouse in there. I met my wife on this program, so thank you, God, thank you, GPA. What a wonderful program. Anyway, enough about me. GPA is very, very awesome. It's very difficult, but it's just amazing to see how God works in every single person's lives. And especially when you're on GPA, it's crazy. And I love hearing testimony just because it's so unique to every individual. And it's just crazy to see how God wants to reach out to every single one of us. And so we have the honor of listening to 2 testimonies today. One is actually my sister, my baby sister, which I'll get to introduce later. But beforehand, let me introduce a wonderful gentleman. His name is Oichi Watanabe. He is the son of Akira and Makiko Watanabe. Little intro about him. He's great. As much as he's annoying and disrespectful at times, he's a very good kid at heart. He's very good. He's loyal. He's funny. When I first came to Vegas, he welcomed me with open arms, and every single one of the Watanabe boys, actually. So they have a special place in my heart. And I'm very proud that Oichi did 1 year of GPA, so I'm excited to hear what he has to say. So everyone, let's get up and welcome Oichi Watanabe.
Thank you, Hayato Hyung. So like Hayato said, my name is Oichi Watanabe. I'm 18 years old, just came off of GPA. So actually, before I start my testimony, a little bit about myself and my parents. Both of my parents worked on SDF and GPA for a couple years of their life. My dad worked on SDF / GPA for 14 years, and my mom did I don't know how many years, but actually growing up, I didn't have a really good concept about GPA. I didn't like it. I didn't like the church. I didn't like the movement. I didn't even like my own parents that much. And actually, during my senior year, I had a lot of hatred and negative views toward the church. And I remember telling always in my head, I'd curse out the church, curse out true parents, curse out God, curse out, this entire movement as a whole. And especially in my senior year, I remember people constantly nagging me about GPA, my own mom and dad, a lot of Cart brothers and sisters, even Jonathan Jesper. And yeah, I was completely fed up with everything in this movement. And I was actually prepared to leave. I was like, I'm done. This whole place is stupid. I can't agree with anything. We're basically like a cult. We do a bunch of rituals. And yeah. And I remember getting a lot of help from especially two older brothers, Jonathan Jesper and Taka Sakaguchi. And just them being as older brothers really helped me. And I remember talking to Jonathan one day saying, if I go to GPA and I try to build a life of faith, it's almost like letting my parents win. It's them being happy is the worst thing that could make me feel why should I just go to GPA to make them happy? My goal is to make myself happy. So I didn't want them to win. And I remember Jonathan that's so stupid. Why would you ever think like that? I knew he was right, that I shouldn't just sacrifice what I want to do just because it's going to make somebody else that I don't want happy. Eventually, I did decide to go to GPA, but under very shallow terms. I wanted to learn how to make money because fundraising can make you a lot of money. 2, I wanted to travel across America. 3, I wanted to make friends. And 4, I wanted to have a fun time. And because of those reasons, I struggled a lot on GPA. And actually, I made it my number one goal to never build a life of faith. That was my number one promise to myself. So from the beginning of GPA, I slept during hundokeis, slept during lectures, skipped them, came late on purpose, always try to get other people to ditch with me, playing basketball during, study time, just whatever it was, I was always trying to do the opposite and trying to always live in the moment and have fun. And this selfish mindset and my shallow purpose in life, I felt my purpose in life is only to have fun, to playing sports, board games, or even making money, right? All these things were really based on myself. Even with that money, obviously I want to serve my community, give it back. But a lot of it was just so I could get praised, so people can have a higher respect for me. And going through the motions, I was struggling a lot. And even though I did really well in fundraising at first, it never made me feel happy. There was no purpose in my fundraising. And I remember after winter break on GPA, we come back and I talked with Sarah Jackson and wonderful older sister. She was telling me how my own resentment towards the church, my own parents, is really hindering my relationship with God and true parents. But I was okay, why should I care? And she was telling me if I really loved my family and this community, I would try to serve them as best as possible. And I need to become the best person to do so. And I remember from that day on, I was actually putting in more effort. Okay, I'm going to actually try sincerely to build a relationship with God and true parents. So to pray more, talk more openly with my parents. And I even did my own hundoke, which is basically unheard of. And I remember it all culminated to the very end of the year in spring competition, which is 40 days of straight fundraising. And you go out really late, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. every day. And I remember I was fundraising in Wyoming and Utah. And during that time, there's big snowstorms. So it's 20 degrees, 30 degrees, slush on the floor, ice everywhere, snowing. And I could remember feeling so miserable because on GPA, I had a horrible reputation for always getting kicked out, always getting the cops called on me, people persecuting me, cussing me out. People would literally grab me and throw me. I remember one day some lady grabbed me by the back of the jacket and threw me into another guy. And I'm what the, they're super mad. And And I always like questioned, why me? Why me? Like, how come no one else, gets like this type of treatment in my year? And I just thought about like my whole purpose. My purpose for being on GPA was super shallow. My purpose in life was there was almost no purpose. And so when I had to like shift my mindset, okay, today I'm gonna really try to fundraise for God and True Parents. Really feel like symbolically I wanna do this for them. And even though I was in like the complete cold, running in a parking lot with my feet literally blue, I was fine. I didn't feel cold. I felt, wow, I could actually enjoy doing this when I put a higher purpose above myself. And the moment that I really started to push and fight for a higher purpose other than myself, I started to feel more happy. And I felt like this is what God was showing me through like the 9 months before that, just completely suffering. And this all culminated when we go to Korea. So right after spring comp, 40 days, super hell, and we go to Korea. We were able to meet True Mother, and we were able to go to Father's tomb. And when I was praying there, I was crying, and I promised, I already found my purpose in life is to serve, God and True Parents, right? We already know our purpose is to, give joy back to God. But, it never really like clicked as like an individual thing. I just thought, oh, that's other human beings. They have to give joy back to God. What do I want to do? I want to have fun. But then I started to realize, I have to serve and give joy back to God. And so I promised that day that for my individual purpose, I want to serve, other second generation and third generation. And that's my purpose in life. So, reflecting on my GPA year, I really felt like God was guiding me because a kid that hates the church, hates True Parents, hates everything, joining a Life of Faith program is basically impossible. For me to even stay in the program, I told myself I was gonna leave after 3 months. I stayed for a full year. I told myself I was gonna leave the church, driving in the van, I'm like, F my team, F this program, screw everybody here, everybody who's a loser for trying to love God and True Parents. That kid decided to stay on GPA. And to me, it's not possible unless, something really moved my heart. And I felt like God was, guiding me, directly to really come to that place where I can find my true purpose in life, which is to really serve, my younger brothers and sisters. And so I'm really grateful to be here right now, and all I can say is really because of, God loving me through all my older brothers and sisters, all my uncles and aunts. And, I'm very grateful to be here today, so thank you.
Wow, that was beautiful. I can relate a lot with Oichi. I was like him, so it's crazy to think how us Kang-type kids tend to stay and do well. So, thank you, Oichi. So the next person I'm going to be introducing is someone very special and dear to me. I'm the oldest of 3. I'm currently 27. How old are you, Kanna? 21? Okay, yeah, so we're basically 7 years apart. So it's a pretty big difference. And I went on GPA for 3 years. And then, just my image of my sister is a baby. Like, she's such a baby. Like, she was playing with dolls and stuff when I left GPA. So it's crazy to think that my sister, my baby sister, ended up doing 3 years of GPA. And so, it's amazing to see how she turned out. She's a better fundraiser than I am. I never broke 1,000, even doing I tried 3 years, never broke 1,000 one time. But the results don't matter at the end of the day, But nevertheless, fun fact, she's a better fundraiser. But overall, I think she's just a more pure-hearted person and very caring. And I'm very proud of my sister for doing 3 years. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing what she has to say. I'm going to shut up now before I start embarrassing myself in front of everyone. So everyone, please help me welcome up my little sister, Kanna Takahashi.
Wow, hello. My goal to give his testimony was to make my brother cry, but I feel like so teary-eyed. But yes, my name is Kana Takahashi. I'm 21 years old. I look like I'm 12, but I'm 21. It's the other way, so please remember that. But yes, yeah, I officially finished 2 years. So for those asking, like, are you gonna do another year? Like, are you gonna leave again? Like, don't worry, I'll be here for a while. But yeah, I guess. Okay. Sorry, I just saw the picture. But yeah, sorry. When I get nervous, I tend to talk really fast. So I try not to talk too fast. But I wanted to share an experience from my third year this year, especially. So in GPA, they have like 3 different programs. And for 2 years, I was doing a mission program called Chonaguk Missionary, which is more mission-based. So you train to be a missionary, to go overseas. And we gone to like different teams has gone to Europe, Africa, where else? South America. And for me, this year, I was able to go to Dominican Republic for 6 months. And I guess like a little background before GPA too, like kind of like what my brother said. I come from a family of 5, and I'm the youngest. And even in my other or our old community, I never was like in that position to take care of another person because I was always the youngest, or I was the smallest, or they were like the same age. So I never knew like what it means to take care of someone else, especially spiritually. So until I joined this like mission program, and it was really amazing because I think one thing I gained was really like through true parents, like I really inherit this true parental mindset and perspective to take care of another person. And there's a whole story, 3 years of stories of how I came to this position where I was doing 3 years. But I think for this goal, like this year, I really wanted to like artistically receive true parents. Because as like second gen, as people who grew up within the movement, like we physically receive true parents because of our parents, but by heart, like it's so hard to receive true parents. Like, why do we need true parents? Why do we need them? Why is it important to me? But it wasn't until I was in this position as like a missionary, taking care of another like a person. Specifically, I had this experience during our first official workshop in Dominican Republic, where I was able to bring in a guest. Her name is Carla Garcia, and luckily, she was able to speak English, so I was able to talk to her a lot. But during that workshop, like it was so difficult for me to talk to her because I was so busy with like responsibilities and staffing and supporting in the back. So it wasn't until this one night where they were receiving a lecture, and I decided like, okay, let me just stop and let me just sit with her to like at least give her some sort of love. And sadly, I couldn't sit behind or next to her because someone was already sitting there, but I was sitting behind her. And right when I sat down, like she turned around and she looked at me and she was like Connor, like I'm so like tired, I'm so sleepy. It was like the last lecture, and I was like, oh shoot, okay, what do I do? The lecture is in Spanish too, so it's like I don't know too much of what they're saying. But actually, one thing that reminded me was something my staff told us, telling us like if your guests or like if someone is ever sleepy during a lecture, like just massage them and massage them as if true parents are massaging them. I was like, okay, that's something I can do. And I just like started to massage her back. And during that time, like even though I'm not that good at massaging, I knew like, okay, spiritually is more powerful anyway. So I was just having this prayerful attitude, like, wow, like I'm so grateful that she even decided to come, to take her weekend off, to stay here to listen. Even though she's tired, she's still listening to the lecture, trying her best. And as I was massaging her, like I kept telling myself, like, wow, like I'm so grateful that she's here, like right in front of me. And even though my hands were getting tired, I told myself, like, no, like even though like my hands are tired, like I still want, like until she looks at me or until she gives me some kind of gesture that she's happy, that she's satisfied with the love that I'm trying to give her, like I'm not gonna stop massaging her, and, like even until the end of the lecture. And so like I think like an hour went by, and yeah, my hands were pretty tired, but it wasn't until like she like turned around at the end of the lecture and she just gave me this warmest smile, like a little child, like looking at you, that like as if like you gave a candy to them, and they looked so happy. And in that moment, I realized like, whoa, like actually, who were the people who taught me how to give this kind of like unconditional sacrificial love that despite feeling tired or despite feeling this or that, like I want to be here for this person's sake. Like I want to do everything, to give everything until they can look at me and be like, wow, thank you, or like until they can be happy. And it made me think like, well, like actually, like true parents were the ones who really taught me this kind of sacrificial love. Because when you think about it, like throughout history too, like starting from Adam and Eve, like throughout history, there weren't people who could be this true parental figures. Like even our parents, they give us love, or sometimes we don't acknowledge their love, or we don't know their love, or our physical parents aren't perfect either. They're still growing. But when you look back, like true parents were the first individuals who like showed us this pathway to be this true parental figure. And I remember reading something before, like when I think when they were talking about like if you are trying to receive like prove yourself that true parents loves me through like having dreams or having like I need to have like a physical interaction with them to know how much they love me. But actually, when you just simply look back at their life and their whole experience and their whole history to create this movement, to create this like teaching, like they sacrifice so much physically, internally, spiritually, everything. And when you think about it, like that's when you can see how much like true parents loves us. Like they don't just love us movement, but they love the people outside, people from different like ethnicities and culture. They see them as their own children. Like when you think about it, like that's so hard for me to like see everyone as my children, but they were able to do that. And it made me realize like, wow, like true parents are really teaching us how to be this true parent for our future kids. Like, you know how like True Father says like you need to go witnessing to have 3 spiritual children so that we can prepare ourselves to be a parent for the future to our physical children. Like, it made me realize like, wow, like this is a beauty because the parental love is so strong. And I also like saw that happening when I came back. Luckily, like Taka gave me this opportunity to babysit Rosia's baby. She was an 8-month-old baby, and wow, it was really difficult. Like, it was really difficult because I felt like you had to give everything. Like, you're like internally and like physically, like my body was aching. I was getting sick, and I remember like before, like one of the last days, like I had to like give myself a pep talk. Like, okay, like even though I'm really tired, my body's aching. Like when you think about it, like when I actually become a mom, like it's not just 6 hours I'm gonna be taking care of a baby, but like it's an eternal life that I'll be taking care of a baby. So what kind of mindset can I have right now? And I told myself like, okay, like I'm here for the baby. Like I'm here to make her happy. Like even if she's crying, like not my goal isn't to just make her shut up and not cry, but my goal is to figure out what she needs. What is it that she's like seeking? Well, how can I give her love? How can I make her feel satisfied and happy? And then she'll naturally stop crying because she has something that she wanted. And it wasn't until I saw myself having this mindset like, whoa, I was a little baby sister. Like I didn't know how to take care of another being. But now having this like parental mindset, like I'm simply here for someone else's happiness because I have something that can make them feel happy. And it wasn't until I had that kind of like, when I saw myself applying that kind of mindset, even coming back home, I was like, whoa, like this is so beautiful because like this is something that I will like eternally cherish in my time too when I become a parent. And I'm sure like for some of the young people too, like we don't really know what that means. Like, well, do I want to be a parent? Like what does it mean to even have this parental heart? But I realized like it's one of the most fulfilling kind of like heart and relationship to have, like this parent-child relationship. Even though I don't physically have a child, like through my guest, through having this spiritual child, like I started to really feel that kind of importance. And even like recently to kind of like to conclude, like at the end of the day, like I told her, or I told my guest, Carla, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be giving a testimony today for my Sunday service, and I'll be talking about you, and I'm nervous, but I'll be here to represent you. And she just gave me this letter of like gratitude, like, wow, like, like thank you for all those like sleepless nights in those like toughest situations where you missed your home, or like I know you were happy being in my country, but at the same time, like I know you had so many difficult moments. And I was like, wow. And actually, she's in Iowa right now. She's for like an international like working program. So I realized like, well, like I'm sure she knows how I feel now because she's also in that situation currently. Like she's out of Dominican Republic, she's here in America. She's pretty good at English, but I'm sure she had those moments where she missed home. And I felt like I kind of understood like this parental heart of when my child like finally understands the hardship, or like finally understands that what kind of like sacrifice I made to love them. And I was like, wow, like this is such a beautiful way to kind of like I guess share this testimony too. Like just receiving that text this morning, seeing that from her, like I was like, wow, like this is such a fulfilling experience of really understanding this parental perspective and finally like getting a taste of what true parents are here to do, to show us how to be a perfected man, how to be perfected woman, how to be perfected true parents, so that we can create this ideal family that we're all like wishing for, but we just don't know. And so I'm really grateful for my 3 years, like only 21 years old, but I feel like the kind of mindset and experience that I had, like I'll cherish forever. And so I'm really grateful. Sorry if I talk too long, but thank you so much.
Okay, let's give one more loud applause to our testimony givers. Thank you, Kana. Thank you, Oichi. Yes. So it's really beautiful to witness seeing a life given to the person in front of us. And by witnessing such like life-giving moment, like we feel like we are receiving life as well. So yes, thank you, Kana. Thank you, Oichi, for your testimonies.